Paulo, something I've been accused of a lot is having artificial intelligence. Just kidding. Artificial intelligence is seemingly everywhere in the news, and the one that gets tagged to it is Chat GPT. Could you kind of just give us a quick overview and make sense of this?
Yep. So artificial intelligence, it's quite interesting because, as you said, since November, so it's really been up on the news a lot. And what it is that in the good old days, a computer was programmed to say, if this happens, then you know exactly the action that the computer is going to do, because it was programmed for one action to react in a certain way. So there's no ambiguity onto what the output of a computer would be, because the program would be very, very specific. What happened is that the evolution of computers is a way in which what you do is you train the computer based on a large data set. And these are called large language models. And when the computer learns some patterns, then the computer really tries to predict, for example, what word would follow another word based on all the volumes of data on which I got trained. And that's what ChatGPT basically does. It can create a conversational text because it looks and say, what is the word that is most likely to follow another one? And that is based on a large data sets, which are called large language models. And what's interesting is that the output that comes out of that is incredibly powerful to read, because I mean, whether you're looking for a love poem or you're looking for planning a vacation in Verona, you're going to be amazed by the way that this ChatGPT creates text on the fly. It does it on the fly. It does it really quickly. And that has sparked a lot of interest from companies. And it turns out that this idea of artificial intelligence, it is part of your portfolios, because companies like Microsoft, like Google, they are using and they are deploying to consumers and businesses this artificial intelligence. So right now, artificial intelligence is part of your portfolio because the companies that you own in that portfolio do have that artificial intelligence. Now, the percentage, the proportion of your portfolio allocated to companies that have exposure to artificial intelligence, right now it's commensurate to the value of that technology relative to the cars, to the food we eat, to the transportation, to everything else, which is not huge right now. If it grows, that will again be part of your portfolio, and it would grow with it. Now, what's really interesting, Greg, so it is possible that ChatGPT might help certain businesses, might help certain consumers, and actually might help certain workers, and it might hurt others. It's too early to tell, and I don't want to, I don't know that anybody in the world knows specifically what the outcome and how this will play out. At this moment, it's a pretty kind of fun thing to play with. The companies are using it in some productive ways, but it really hasn't kind of, realized its full potential, which we don't really know yet. So is this something to be scared of right now? The fact that, some computer can generate a love poem for my wife, I'm not sure that's scary. It's scary what I would write. But at this point, we don't really know exactly the full potential. Now, what's so interesting, Greg, and maybe I'll leave with this, that this idea of using large data sets to form expectations and using these as an information processing machine, it has been part of your allocation, your strategy, Greg, and ours for the past 40 years, because in effect, that's exactly what the stock market does. The stock market is fundamentally a ChatGPT type of information processing machine that is looking at all the information available out there and is trying to make an inference of what is the expected value of a particular company. So as investors, and this is what's specific to us and the Dimensional and you at Prado, we have used artificial intelligence, quote unquote, in the form of using information to form expectations for 40 years. We just did it in the context not of creating love poems and Verona travel itineraries, but in the context of understanding what is the expectation of a company's value going forward. So ChatGPT has been in some shape or form part of your investment strategy for quite a while now, and now it's kind of morphing into a different direction. And to the degree that direction, whether it's Microsoft or whether it's Google, if that becomes a valuable component of the economy, it will be a greater and greater portion of your portfolio, and you will stay up with it.
Look, I find it all fascinating. I think, again, you alluded to in the past is, fear drives the market. It drives advertising. It grabs those eyeballs onto the TV screen.
Right.
And I think, you go back to the day of I was in college when they had punch cards. We had to physically put a punch card into a machine. And within the time I graduated, we were just programming by hand, So I think the reality of it all is the technology and the growth of it and the investing in it is best left to folks who are in there looking at it. And that's why, honestly, we have had such a great success with Dimensional, because they don't just willy-nilly pick things. They study the technology that's out there and see where it's going and find opportunity as it moves on from, a cell phone to an iPad to a BlackBerry, as it moved around. Taking advantage of the opportunity and embracing it is a much better strategy than determining that your brain is going to be sucked through the computer screen here in about 5 minutes.
Well said, Greg.